Hello, welcome back to Rev Solution. In today's video we're looking at the 2021 Honda CB500F. The Honda CB500F in its nice yellow colours. We'll jump on it, take it for a ride. This is the 2020 model. Let's get this key started. Same display as you can see as the Honda CB500R. Right, off we go. So very nice light clutch on this bike. The controls are nice and easy to hold on to. It's quite a nice sitting position, to be honest. I do like this. I've never ridden this before this test ride. Comes in with 47 brake horsepower. It's A2 license compliant in the UK. It's about 189 kilograms curb weight. The seating position is really nice. I really like it. Obviously it's a naked bike. It's got a nice low seat. It's really easy to ride. It's got plenty of power if you want a nice simple lightweight bike. Okay, so the setup of the bike is very similar to the CB500R. It's got a nice display. Again, I think during the daylight hours the display it lacks a little bit because it's quite difficult to see. However, at night that display is fantastic. The wind mirrors on this bike, they're pretty good. My near side, I've got to just bring my elbow in slightly to see out that one. However, the offside one is positioned perfectly. I don't need to move for that one. Acceleration, third gear up to 40 miles an hour. Pulls really well. That's nice and easy. So for a 47 brake horsepower motorcycle, it actually works really well. It doesn't feel like it's low on power. It's nice and usable. Obviously, being a naked motorcycle, there is a lot of wind resistance. I can feel it in my chest quite a bit. So at higher speeds you are going to really feel that wind resistance pushing against you. However, being a little 500cc motorcycle with 47 brake horsepower, realistically this bike is ideal for those who want a good commuter motorcycle, that want to nip in and out of traffic, that have the busy city lifestyle, and also for those of you who have just got into motorcycling, that want to start on a low cc motorbike. The CB500F is really good for that. The clutch is unbelievably light. I mean, I've pulled it a few times already and you barely even feel like you're operating a clutch. It's really good. Obviously, being a naked bike, everything is down low. So when you come to look at the dials and everything, if you're upright like this, nice and high, getting good visibility down the road, you do have to look down quite a bit. So if you sit with your head like this, I guess it's going to make it a little bit easier to see the dials all the time. But if you're upright, nice and high, you are going to have to keep looking down at your dials. Controls are really simple on this one. You got your headlight flash on the near side, you got your high beam, your low beam, you got your horn, and you got your indicators. Really basic, simple setup for a simple bike that at the moment feels like it's going to be a lot of fun to ride if you have this bike. On the offside, you've got your engine kill switch, your hazards, and your electronic engine start. Doesn't get much more simpler than that. The seat on this one, it is relatively firm. It perches you up nice and high on the bike, but even though it's a firm seat, like the Rebel range, it's not uncomfortable. Suspension on that drain cover felt quite nice. Didn't really give me any problems. But again, that clutch is unbelievably light. It's brilliant. I really like it. It could potentially do with being a little bit heavier, just so you know you've got something there. But it's not going to tire you out. And don't forget, this bike is going to be aimed at the people who want to ride around the cities commuting. And if that's the case, you don't want a heavy clutch. You just want to be able to operate your clutch nice and easy without getting too tired. So in that respect, it is a really good clutch. Obviously the display exactly the same as all the other CB range. Rev counter on the left, your speedo in the middle, your miles bottom right, miles per gallon at the bottom centre, clock at the top. So coming to a stop on the CB500, my foot is completely flat-footed, nice and easy, you know, it gets up to speed limit easy. This bike is just really effortless to ride. I'm going to be test riding this in a city environment in Southampton, so stop starting, putting your feet down, you're not going to be struggling for the floor. If you're a taller rider, you're going to get to the floor relatively easy. If you're a tall rider, you're going to get to the floor completely flat-footed with no problem whatsoever. Shorter rider, again, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I can't see any issues putting your foot down really quickly in an emergency. So for a small bike, this is really ticking all the boxes for me. It looks brilliant. I've got this in the leery yellow colour. Kind of think it looks like Bumblebee from Transformers, which ain't a bad thing. Good visibility when you're riding around on this one. Also with the handlebars, they're raked back quite nicely, so when you're holding on, you haven't actually got quite a fast stretch, and if you're a lot taller, again, your arms are going to be really bent. I think if you are over 6 foot tall on this bike, I wouldn't necessarily say you're going to struggle, but I'd say you're probably not going to fare up quite well on it, purely because it's going to be quite cramped. But under 6 foot, this bike is perfect. Now with the legs, you're bent back in like a sports bike style position, your knees tuck into the tank nicely. You can really squeeze this bike so you feel you're nice and safe on it. It's got a full LED lighting system on this bike, complete all around. Great visibility at the front, great visibility at the back. It's got a premium look, and if you go for this bike in black, give it a good polish, it really does look phenomenal. Downshifting, nice and easy. Again, come to a stop, completely flat-footed on my left leg. If I go right leg, again, completely flat-footed. Sounds quite nice when you rev it as well, it's got a little pop. The indicators on this one are really easy to find. It's a really agile bike. I love the way it handles. It's so light, it just tips in really easy. And because it's a light bike and it is relatively low, it is going to inspire a lot of confidence riding this bike if you are a new rider. You're not going to be struggling with the usability of this bike. Flip it down in second gear, speed falls away, nice and easy. Again, it gives you good height to look over vehicles. I really like this bike. If you're after a second bike, then the CB500F is definitely a reasonably priced second bike that you're going to be able to use and also have great fun on. Obviously this bike is designed for the city environment, so you're looking around about 70 to 80 miles per gallon out this bike, which is really good. You're not going to be needing to fill up quite often on this one. You're going to get real good mileage out of this. I have seen some reviews on YouTube saying that they've actually got 300 miles out of a full tank on this bike, which I think that's unbelievable for a small 17 litre tank. It's cracking miles per gallon. Even the gear selector is very simple to operate. Right, suspension time. Speed bump, easy, not a problem. This bike from Crescent Honda starts at £5,749 on the road. Optional extras will obviously push that price up higher. It comes in red, black, blue and this brilliant bright in your face yellow. The CBF comes with a 471cc liquid cooled 4-stroke double overhead cam parallel twin engine. It pushes out 43 Newton meters at 6,500 RPM and 46.9 brake horsepower, 35 kilowatts of power at 8,600 RPM, making it an A2 compliant light motorcycle in the UK. The wheelbase on this bike comes in at 1410mm with a ground clearance of 145mm. The seat height on this one is quite a nice low seat height for shorter riders. It comes in at 789mm. The bike has got a fuel capacity of 17.1 litres, giving you around about 70 to 80 miles per gallon out of a tank. And on YouTube, I've also seen a lot of other riders saying they're getting about 300 miles to a tank on this bike. So that is really good if you're buying it as a commuter bike. You're definitely going to get your return from your fuel when you put it in. Now, being only a 500cc motorcycle, the front tyre on this bike is 120/70
17-inch rim. The rear tyre is a 160, 60, 17-inch rim again. Honda are running Nissan brakes on the CB500F. You're looking at the front, you've got a 320mm by 5mm disc with a 2-piston caliper, and at the rear you've got a 240mm by 5mm disc with a single piston caliper. Just riding around briefly on this bike, the brakes are really nice and sharp for the 500cc, so you've got no issue with the brakes, front or rear. Rear is obviously a little bit worse than the front, but that's the same across most motorcycles. If you stamp down hard enough on it, it's definitely going to bring you to a stop. As standard in the UK, it also comes with ABS system. The front suspension on the bike is a conventional telescopic 41mm preload adjustable suspension, and at the rear you got a ProLink mono with a 5-stage preload adjuster and a steel square pipe swing arm. It's a really nice setup on this bike. 6-speed gearbox, chain driven, and the curb weight comes in at 189 kilograms. Now just run through the controls on this motorcycle. On the near side you've got your headlight flasher, your pass light, you've got your high beam, your low beam, your horn and your indicators. It's a really simple setup on this bike. It's not overcomplicated. If you're new to riding, it is just going to be a nice straightforward motorcycle. Get on and learn how to ride your bike. On the offside you've also got your engine kill switch, your hazard light button and also your electronic engine start. Very simple setup. The display comes in exactly the same as Honda's 500cc range, so you've got exactly the same display as your CBR500R, your CB500X and your CB500F. Really simple display to see at night. During the day the colour contrast is a little bit off, I think, so it does make it a little bit difficult, especially you've got the sun directly behind you, but nevertheless you can still read the majority of the information you need to. As you come down to the front, you've got a nice angled headlight, which again meets the same criteria as all the other 500cc bikes in Honda's range, with a nice tapered down front there. Either side of the bike, you've got your air intake, you've got your radiator, nice fully exposed underside of the motorcycle. So if you are going to be taking this bike slightly off-road, then you may be a bit wary on that because everything is fully exposed, even the radiator pipe down the bottom. Around the side of the bike, you've got your Nissan caliper and also your brakes. You've got a nice naked design there, nice chrome forks coming down to the matte black at the bottom, linking them to the wheel. Around the side you got your fully exposed engine design, your nice chrome pipes of the exhausts, Honda's lovely bronzy gold engine cover and clutch casing. You've got a bit of exhaust cover there. It's only plastic, it's not going to give a lot of protection, so again if you are going to be up and down curbs in and out of your property, you may bash that, but just be aware of it. Come to the rear of the bike, you've got a nice exhaust system. Again, it looks exactly the same as all the other 500cc motorcycles in Honda's range. Change it, you're going to get a lot more sound out of it, but for what it is, it does actually sound really nice. It pops a little bit and it's got a little bit of throaty noise. So for a standard exhaust in the new Euro compliant range of motorcycles that are being pushed out, it is quite a nice exhaust tone. At the back of the bike it tapers in nice and tight towards the rear. You've got a carbon fibre underneath, your black and your silver, and obviously on top you've got a nice textured design for the pillion to sit on, just going to give a little bit of grip. You've also got your grab rail there, so if you are moving the motorcycle about you can lift it forward and just hold on to there for a nice bit of support. At the back of the bike it tapers down to your number plate, your LED indicators, your LED rear light, your reflector comes over the rear of the tyre, so if you want to change that, put a tail tidy on, throw it in a little bit, make it look a little bit neater. You got your pillion pegs, nice and silver. So the setup of this bike is really simple, but it does look really stylish for the people who want to be riding it. If you are young and you've got your A2 motorcycle licence, this is definitely going to be a really good motorcycle to start your riding career on. If you're older and you just want a nice simple 500cc to get in and out of traffic, the 500F is definitely a contender that I would look into.
Now another thing I've noticed on the CB500 is that there isn't a lot of engine braking, so as soon as you let off the throttle it just carries on rolling, which is not a bad thing, doesn't bother me. Right, so what I'm going to do on this section now is just some slow manoeuvres, just so I can show you how agile the bike is. It's quite a large area here, so I'll just do on the rear brake, turn it through, moving it around nice and easy, getting tighter, getting tighter, getting tighter. There we go, nice and easy to do tight circles on this bike. which is always a good thing if you've got to move somewhere quite tight. So turn here, nice and easy. So for a slow manoeuvre motorcycle, it is really good. Now I can only imagine if you're watching this video, you're interested in the 500, see what it's like. It is a really simple bike. It's just good. I like it. 8,000 mile service intervals, or every year, whatever comes first. So you're not going to be servicing this bike all the time, which is obviously going to keep costs down. So easy to manoeuvre. It's just really light, and where it's so light, it makes it such an enjoyable ride. It takes all the effort out of riding. The indicators are really easy to find. I'm not having any issue with that. Sometimes with the some of the Hondas, they put the indicators in the horn around different ways, and it just makes it slightly awkward to play with. But not with this one. This one's really straightforward. Now, the only thing about doing test rides in a city is the traffic lights. I always seem to get stuck at traffic lights in Southampton. Now I think just from riding it the amount of time I have, you could quite comfortably take this bike out all day long, get a good ride on it, go a fair bit of distance. I wouldn't say it's a touring bike that a lot of YouTubers jump on bikes and say, yeah, you can take this bike touring. You couldn't. It's not designed for that. It's a city bike. It's a naked. It doesn't have big luggage capabilities, and yes, you could ride it a fair distance for a fair amount of time, but there's no way I'd want to take this bike touring. It would get uncomfortable on a long distance ride. Now the handling around roundabouts, flick it in. I really like it. It's such an easy bike to ride. So good. Downshift, lean into another angle, and pull away. So simple. It's definitely going to get a big thumbs up from me on this one. Pop it into neutral, and there we go. So let me just run through a few things that I do like about this bike. I like the look of it. I love how light the clutch is. It is really good. I love the weight of the bike, 189 kilograms to 47 brake horsepower. Gives you ample amount of power to weight ratio, and I'll put the power to weight ratio up now. So you got more than enough power for a little bike just to push through, accelerate away from cars quickly. The seat is relatively comfortable. I'd say it's firm, but it's a comfortable seat still. The seating position is really, really nice. The leg position is a good sports style position, so if you are looking to go towards a sports style motorcycle, then this is definitely going to get you in the frame of mind to do that. It is just a real effortless bike to ride. It's just nice and comfy, and I know I say that about a lot of motorcycles that I ride, that they are really effortless to ride, but I think the more motorcycles are developed, the more user friendly they become, and they do just become really, really simple to ride. It's almost like the bike does most of the work for you. All you've got to do is do the accelerator and just stay on the thing. Now what don't I like about the motorcycle? That's a difficult one, because for what it is perfect. I mean, the filtering capability, it's narrow, it's up tall slightly, so you can nip over wind mirrors of cars. They won't get in your way. There isn't really anything I don't like about this bike. It's got 47 brake horsepower, but that's what the bike is. You're not going to be buying this and thinking, right, I want a lot of horsepower, it's too slow. It's designed for the city. It's a city bike, so in the city you are going to have more than enough power to get around. Now, having ridden it for the amount of time that I have around the city, I can honestly say that I'm not aching, I'm not struggling, I'm not wanting to get off of it. To be honest, I just want to keep riding it, and after I finish doing the review, I'm going to just ride it for another hour. Honda have given it to me for quite a while, so I'm going to get the most out of this bike today, because it's a really, really fun bike. But I'm going to be staying to the city. I'm not going to be going into the country roads at the moment. I might take it out for another test ride at a later date. I may bring you a video of that. Again, in a nice built up environment. The suspension is taking the bumps because this road is quite uneven. It's just running nicely. I highly recommend getting out on the CB500F, taking it out for a test ride, because it has got the perfect amount of power for what it's designed for. It just works in a city environment. CB500F, cracking bike, just under £6,000 from Crescent Honda in Southampton. Get down to Crescent Honda, check out their range, jump on the CB500F. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below, because I genuinely think this bike is a great contender for an all-round city bike, commuting bike, A2 learner bike. It is just brilliant. It's got plenty of poke, it works really well. Great, fantastic motorcycle. Let me know what you think about it. Thank you for watching Rev Solutions in this video with the Honda CB500F. Please subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more videos, ride safe, and we'll see you soon.